back on. He will now, and Texas is back to full strength. Lee showing toughness there. Sent in long by Nagaich from Malone. Willie fighting off the Texas defender. A lot of contact. Ball shoots wide, but it was a foul on Malone there. Too much contact. It has to be said. I think a good call by the referee.
One thing I will talk about, though, is that both these teams are playing fairly rough and trying to get into each other's minds. This is a rivalry game. Granted that this is Texas and Texas A&M, long history of rivalry. And one thing I like to think about for any sport, any rivalry, is that it's anyone's game in a rivalry. Doesn't matter if you're playing basketball, softball, baseball, football. Just the fact that it is a rivalry gets into each other's heads. It gets into the players' heads.
You hear a lot of times that, they say the records go out the window, which is certainly true in this case, but the records are so even, both teams with 3 wins, both teams with wins in their last 3 games, that even the records lend itself to the suggestion this would be a very close, highly contested match, as we've seen so far. About 20 minutes, a bit more gone in the first half. Still no score.
Texas A&M did beat Texas Tech 3-0, and that is the team that
Lots of contact there.
that is the team that UT suffered a loss from, a 4-1 loss. There's another example of that contact. Looks like the Aggies are not here.
And Basie arguing, I believe, that he got a lot of the ball before the contact, but definitely a collision there. And another dangerous free kick. It's been a lot of set pieces for the Aggies. So far, nothing from it, but it could be strength by numbers as far as these chances from the set pieces.
Yeah, they are doing a very good job of keeping the ball on the Texas side of the field.
And it looks like a conference with the assistant referee, and that's going to go the other way, I believe. A foul on the Texas A&M Aggies, so no set piece. In fact, it'll be Texas Longhorn possession. I wonder...
Try and get this ball out of Longhorn territory and start to play the game a little bit more on the A&M side.
And it will be Michaels to take it to Nagaich. To Johan Lee. Nagaich. Michaels.
Kind of fiddling with the ball right now.
Played long from Michaels. Another big collision there. This has been a very physical game so far. Texas A&M winning the ball. And they'll play the center to David Lee. Derek Burns now well defended by Picone, the attacking player, getting in dirty on the defense, and Texas will try to turn to a counterattack. Nagaich here. Nagaich finding Freethy with space and options in the box. And all he could find was a well-positioned Aggie center back there. Johan Lee with the interception in a dangerous spot. Intercepted right back.
There's that crowd noise we were talking about. Everyone's starting to get riled up. The ball's going back and forth across the field.
Absolutely. Really good end-to-end stuff now. A bit sloppy on the passes, it should be said, sparking these attacks. And once again, that goes straight to Nagaich.
That was a push.
Lots of contact there, and referee didn't see anything illegal, and that's a good save by Sam Duncan. That's a position save. That was kept low and driven by Casey Sherman, who's checked into the game for the Texas A&M Aggies. He's been a nightmare for Texas in this exact matchup over the years.
And there's a good example right there of that win kicking into effect right now. As we mentioned earlier, the Aggie goalie was able to kick the ball all the way across the field. Right now, Sam Duncan is having trouble just to get it out of the Longhorn side of the field.
It is a breezy. Avoids the tackle from Nagaich, and he'll find, and that is just over the crossbar. Connor Hurt there. That combination, Casey Sherman to Connor Hurt, is perhaps the most dangerous one that Texas A&M can put together.
Yeah, it is absolutely a threat to the Longhorn.
Hurt there had eyes on top corner, pushing it just above.
Sam Duncan found the ball. Ooh, that was kicked pretty far off the field.
And we'll recover now. Now, Casey Sherman not starting this game very unexpectedly. Once again, he scored in all but one of the games the Aggies has played this season, and had a, if I remember correctly, was a hat trick in the same fixture last season that was played at Onion Creek, just south of here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, quite an interesting call. Granted that he is a veteran for the Aggies, I think that they'd want him to start off with his game. They did put him in within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Jake Malone now looking wide. He'll find his teammate. Basie now setting the cross in, and that's just over the goalkeeper's touch. Calls for handball, nothing from the referee. Nagaich now to Picone, back to Nagaich. To Tanaka now. Picone, Nagaich with space. Nagaich will try a cross, swirling in, and that's headed in. What a save! What a save there from Barbero. Beautiful attack, beautifully swung in from Nagaich there. And I couldn't quite tell who got in the end of that one. Believe it was Jake Malone there sending the shot. I mean, that looked destined just inside the post. What a save there by Barbero. Cleared off nicely off the line by the Texas A&M Aggies, and it will be over the touchline once again for another corner. Basie to take it. Basie avoids the challenge, sends a cross, and that's a shot. Kind of in between there. Could have, I believe he saw Michaels just, and sent it a bit over his head. Has to be Texas's strongest phase of play so far as we creep under 19 minutes to go here in the first half. And Barbero will take the goal kick. Driven down by Johan Lee. Texas has Picone. Picone with possession and space in the box. Lost it underneath his feet. What a chance there for Picone. Could not get the shot off, but my goodness. Texas trying to keep up the pressure now. Nagaich, who's moved up and has played a big role in these last chances that Texas has been able to come as the ball sails out for a Texas throw-in. And Sept Tanaka will send it in towards Picone. Picone finds Nagaich. And clean up by the Aggies, but only as far as just inside midfield. Lee now. It's been all Texas these last few minutes. Freethy sent in, and that's Barbero with a brave, brave save there.
The wind has kind of died down just a tad. It's time for the Longhorns to be a little bit more offensive and defensive, which is good because it gives the defense some time to rest.
Lee with the pretty flick on, down to the Longhorn keeper, Sam Duncan. And both teams will take a breath. Those have been hard to come by as we've got going as a high sailing goal kick. Finds Picone. Cleared out by Texas A&M. Tanaka now. Just over the head of Freethy. And Picone working hard. Gets free. Has a man, and it's just off the feet of Montez there. Head and hands moment for him. Oh my goodness, what a chance that was. Montez will dust himself off.
Gives the teams to breathe. It's past 10 minutes or so, but pretty intense with ball movement on both sides of the field. Looks like Montez will stay in.
He's a tough lad. He'll carry on. Cleared emphatically out by Texas. Cleared out from their own attacking half. Throw in taken quickly by the Aggies. Degley Michael showing his height there, sending it back to Picone. Tristan Honecker there, getting away from Tanaka. But Tanaka recovers nicely, sending Honecker down to the touchline. Big battle. Tanaka will eventually come out with possession. Oh, and that is straight to the Aggies there. Beautiful flick on there for the Texas A&M Aggies, and it's finished. David Lee putting Texas A&M up 1-0. What a vital away goal that could be for their season.
Beautiful kick. The ball was wide open. Like you said, David Lee took that opportunity. Hit the ball straight in the middle of the lane.
And you have to give an immense amount of credit to the pass there. A beautiful flick on that one, right to David Lee's feet. All he had to do was send it past Duncan. And this was about Texas's worst nightmare. They held out mostly, but they would have absolutely wanted to score first here and put the pressure on Texas A&M. And now we'll likely see Nagaich stay forward. There he is now to Tanaka, back to Nagaich. Looking for Montez there, well defended. And that'll just be ushered out of play by Texas A&M.
That's one thing right there that's kind of helping out the Aggies right now is that they're talking to each other, making sure to know who's got the ball, who's not going to have the ball, who's going to take an attempt at the goal, who's not.
Smart defending there by Lovall to prevent Montez from securing possession. And Barbero sending it in deep. Hurt down, hurt, looking like he's hurt in the midfield line, and that's going to find its way over the touchline for a goal kick. We'll see Sam Duncan again. Big sense of urgency here for Texas.
They're trying to get that ball out of here and maybe score a goal or two with 12 and a half minutes left in the game.
Freethy had Pecan making a run. Smartly defended there from Cooper Whitfield. Out to Freethy, who was just a step off sides. And it'll come back as Texas A&M will regain possession. Texas A&M falling early to UT San Antonio, which is an unexpected loss for them, and kind of left the door open for Texas with a win here tonight, obviously looking like more of a daunting task at this point. But a win here tonight for Texas would put them in the driver's seat in the Texas Collegiate Athletics, Texas Soccer Collegiate Athletic Soccer League. Texas falling already to Texas Tech.
In Austin, too. Which is not an easy thing to do.
Tough to say Texas has a home field advantage as of yet because of how new to them this facility is.
Yeah, another thing, too, like you mentioned earlier, is that they're directly in front of us are a couple of Aggies here. I'm not sure if they made the trip from College Station. Really, there's local Aggies in town. But they're out here and they're supporting their team.
Played back to Sam Duncan from the back. To Nagaich. Back to Johan Lee.
One thing the Longhorns are doing that the Aggies are not is that they're kind of tossing in between their defenders right there, taking some time to get that ball out of there. They want to make sure that they can have a clear shot through center field.
Michael's now sent long into Picon. And Duncan forced to come out and claim that long through ball for the Aggies. Strong run for Texas. Picon finds Tanaka, back to Nagaich. Nagaich looking for Tanaka once again. Good interplay between them, threaded through, nice and easy, but swept up very cleanly by Parker Miller, who has checked in for Texas A&M. David Lee now the goal scorer. Cooper Whitfield creeping up back to Lee. Now Tristan Honecker. Flicked on there by Sherman. Unable to find his intended recipient.
One thing I will take note is that the Aggies are clearly acting a lot playing a lot quicker than the Longhorns. And you can see that on the offense and defensive side. Whenever the Aggies get into Longhorn territory, they start to kick the ball around as much as possible, trying to confuse the Longhorn defense. But whenever they're on defense, whenever the Aggies are on defense too, they're passing it back to each other, trying to get that ball as quick as they can out of there. So it's a battle of the tactics. Do you want to play slow or do you want to play fast?
And what a poor giveaway there from Nagaich back to Sherman. Sherman unable to find Lee there. Could be a chance on the other end for Texas. Matt Picon chasing it down. And that'll be mopped up nicely by the Aggies.
Last year, the Aggies were knocked out in the Elite Eight and the national tournament. So they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. They're trying to go deep once again in the national tournament.
Down to Michaels, will chase it down. And taking the turn himself, he had Duncan there to play it back to. Choosing instead to make the turn. Johan Lee will settle with space. To Sharif there. Wally Sharif, a sophomore who started this game, not started, excuse me. He did make an appearance in this game a year ago as a freshman, one of the few underclassmen that graduated from the Texas B squad, which has just as demanding of a schedule and as competitive as of a roster. Whitfield in, missing a couple heels for A&M. And Picon getting physical, that'll come out to Nagaich. Nagaich back to Picon. Flipping it up to Montez, who can't come down with it. Contact in there from Picon, the ref will let it play. Excuse me, the ref will play the advantage as Sherman now for Texas A&M. Beautiful slide tackle from Nagaich there. And David Lee will receive it now. Looking for Sherman. Instead, he'll find Colin Tracy. Beautiful attack building here for A&M. And a shaky clearance there from Michaels, but he does enough to get it out to Picon there. Sent in long in search of Malone. And Barbero will clean it up. Played back to Barbero. Parker Miller now will find Honecker. To Lovall now. Sending it between two Texas defenders, but only as far as Johan Lee, who'll feed Nagaich. Malone on the front foot there, unable to catch up to it. Malone has moved away from that right wing, now to the out-and-out striker number 9 position. Pecan has looked to switch from the left to the right. You have to wonder if conceding the goal has had an influence in that. And 2 subs will come in for Texas now. Montez will check out, as will Wally Sharif. Cameron Hansen will make his first appearance of the game for Texas. He'll flick it on right there. Big battle in there and unable to secure it. Wow, doing some good groundwork there. Sending strongly cleared by Michaels, but only as far as Ian Burns. Burns flicking it on, that'll find only the Texas goalkeeper in Duncan. It's been a recurring theme now, some very, very unconvincing clearances from Texas. Another one right there, but it won't matter. It'll be a foul on the Aggies, on Ian Burns, center midfielder. And Nagaich will feed Pecan. Freethy now. Looking inside for his man and cleared off the line by the Texas A&M Aggies. Walker Hood in there looking, and that is Cameron Hansen there, unable to find a handle on it. Down to Johan Lee. Sent in, poor throw in there from Texas A&M, but recovered by Parker Miller. Looking for Sherman. And cleared by Texas, only as far as Burns. A&M with numbers and speed, but it is turned over to Texas. Played up with men in space, Pecan now. Pecan will try a shot, and just wide. Another outstanding chance from Pecan, and he can only put it just outside. He beat Barbero, the keeper, but he also beat the post there, and it'll be a goal kick. Very encouraging for Texas as the half nearing a close. Hard fought in there in the midfield. Colin Tracy now. Beautiful flick over. And here is Tracy. Working against Tanaka. Burns now. Burns may try a shot. Instead, he'll feed. Parker Miller there, unable to get a head on it. And had he done that, we could have been 2-0 the way of the Aggies. Very teasing ball sent in there from Burns.
That would definitely hype. That's going to definitely hype up both teams. 2 minutes left in the game. Both teams are eager to score. Aggies are going to go 2-0 for the half. Longhorns are looking to tie it.
Lee now. Will play it across to his center back partner, Michaels. As we are under 2 minutes to go in the half. And that's because it is up to the ref to eventually blow the whistle here. He's keeping his own time. And as the clock stops, it's really only up to the referee now who will know when this half will come to a close. This is played now to Lee. To Duncan now. Colin Tracy looming there. Not a good clearance from Duncan. To Sherman now, will look for control. Michaels and Sherman fighting. Well defended there by Michaels. Out to Tanaka. And that will do it for the first half. Even game, but Texas A&M has found the back of the net. Texas with a couple of very, very nice chances, but nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. As we end this half now. Now, Justin, we see the score, but what have you seen beneath that between the run of play as it's been between Texas and Texas A&M?
Well, on both sides of the field, they were trying to get the ball into the goal, and you can clearly see that. As I mentioned earlier, both teams are taking a different route as to how they're necessarily going to do that. The Longhorns are looking at it more methodically, more planned out. As you can see, the defenders kind of toss it back and forth before they kick it up. Meanwhile, the Aggies are just trying to get the ball as far as they can down there as quickly as possible.
Matt Pecan with 2 glorious chances there, pushing a couple just wide of the post. Otherwise, we could be as high as 2-0 to Texas. Texas A&M also could claim rights to a second goal there, just coming off the head of Parker Miller there as we close the half. But a lot of action for both teams to build off of as we go into the second half.
Absolutely. Both teams are going to come out here hungry. Last year, the Aggies won 7-2. Last year, the Aggies won 7-2, beating Texas, and Texas has that chip on their shoulder. They want vengeance. They're trying to get back and try and score, try and win this game.
There's absolutely been a much better performance from Texas as we go into the first half. They look like they're maybe not quite even yet with the Aggies, but certainly closer than what we saw last year. What do you attribute most of that to? Obviously, some new young talent in that wasn't playing in that game last year.
Absolutely. I think the team is younger this year, the Longhorns A team, and they have that drive. They're trying to get the ball quick, and they have more of a speed, and they're really trying to get there.
And Coach Pruitt, the Texas head coach, has preached this competition. He's tried to make practices, and like we mentioned, Texas does have 2 levels, 2 teams here, one that plays the A team and then the B team. And there's a lot of competition there for guys who are playing for the B team week in and week out, practicing just as hard to break through to that A team. And you can see that now as Texas is playing very competitively here against Texas A&M.
Yeah, you can. This year, the facility opened up. Players are going to be on their A teams, and they decided to have 47 players instead of 40 this year. And before the game, we heard there was some communication between the players talking about how many people were on the team and how young this team is this year and how much they are trying to play and how quickly they want to do that.
And we mentioned Matt Pruitt. He is standing by now with Katarina Biancardi over on the sidelines. Katarina, over to you.
I'm alongside Coach Hugo Jimenez. Coach, this game has been full of high intensity, just as expected. How do you assess your team's first half performance?
Well, yeah, just like you mentioned, it's been a very tough half. A lot of back and forth from both teams. I think we've had a good performance. Just a few little things that I would adjust would be, we're getting a little too excited when going forward in the attack. So maybe just holding back a little bit, play a little more defensive there.
Now, David Lee and Casey Sherman have tested you guys up in the attacking line. How do you combat that better in the second half?
Yes, absolutely. So they're very 2 good guys who are very technical on the ball. I think that what we need to do is just make sure we don't give them any space, make sure that we're high and pressuring on them to make sure that they don't make any attacks under us.
Well, you have 45 minutes to do so, Coach. Thanks so much.
All right,
Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Katarina. 45 minutes indeed left for this 1-0 game. as it hangs in the balance. We'll be back from Whitaker Sports Complex. Jonathan Polasic will have your halftime report. Stay
Welcome back. We're at Whitaker Field, Texas and Texas A&M. Texas A&M leads Texas 1-0 at the half. I'm Jonathan Polasic, and with me here right now is Katarina Biancardi. Katarina, what are some of your thoughts on this game, especially about the physicality between these two teams here?
Absolutely, Jonathan. The physicality has been so high in this game. It has been back and forth. Super fast, super moving. These guys are, as soon as they get into each other's attacking third, they're constantly pressing, going to the ball. I will have to say that the ball has been really physical in the air. They've done a really good job of bringing the ball down on both ends of the team, of really trying to slow the game down to actually play soccer and not play kickball.
No, definitely. I think there's been plenty of fouls on both sides. I mean, both teams are just going at it. I mean, it's a rivalry game. You should expect nothing less from these two teams right here.
Expecting nothing less, Jonathan. I do have to say that I have to give kudos to both goalkeepers on both teams. They have done a great job of commanding their back line. They've done a great job of communicating with their defense to be able to say, you know, you need to guard this guy. You need to be right there and right there. And that has been huge to why this game has been 0-0.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, Texas A&M, they did eventually come up with a goal in the middle of the first half. They're up 1-0. Cap, what does Texas need to do in order to get the equalizer and potentially the win in this second half right here?
In order for them to just get the win, the most important thing they have to do is remain composed. They can't get too fast. They can't get too caught up in anything, Jonathan, because as soon as they really got fast and moving up in the attacking third, they weren't able to keep their composure and slow down and actually be able to play soccer. And they had some really great opportunities. They missed a few on the corner kicks, missed a few breakaways, but I really think if they slow down and play their game, they'll be just fine to be able to make this a tied game. But Texas A&M just a great job in that attacking third. Like I said, Casey Sherman and David Lee, yes, thanks for reminding me, did a great job of sneaking that one in. But if this game is just so high intensity, Jonathan, that I think it's going to be fair on both ends going into the next half.
No, I agree. Texas and Texas A&M, I think if Texas tries to play too fast, it's kind of playing into what Texas A&M wants to do. Like you said, Texas needs to slow down, control the pace, control the passing. If they can retain possession of the ball for periods at a time, I think they'd be able to create some excellent shots on goal, maybe get one or two in. And another thing is they do need to capitalize on their set pieces. They had plenty of chances with corner kicks. They had a couple of set pieces. I think if they can just find an opening in a set piece or a corner kick or something, I think that Texas has a great shot to, one, tie this game up, or two, take control and score 2 goals in this second half. Like you said, this first half has been intense. It's everything that you want from a rivalry game. I expect nothing less from Texas and Texas A&M.
Well, and you know, Jonathan, when we're thinking about it, the reason why we expect nothing less also is because they're competing for a conference title here. They're competing for a high bid at conference to be able to go play in a well-seeded at nationals. So there's more at stake than just bragging rights in a rivalry here. And also, Texas is trying to regain their pride, Jonathan. We can't forget that 7-2 last year, they lost. Texas lost 7-2, and that was just an embarrassing loss for Texas. So, you know what? Only losing 1.5, I think that can motivate them just fine to be able to get it together going into half.
No, for sure. I agree. I mean, Texas coming in, with that loss, that 7-2 loss, it's more than just bragging. They want to beat Texas A&M. They want revenge. Honestly, that was an embarrassment last year. And if they win this game, because Texas A&M does come in with 1 loss, so does Texas. Whoever wins this game takes control of this conference and has a great shot of winning the conference at the end of the season. Now, thank you so much for being here with me, Kat.
No problem, Jonathan.
It's been great. When we return, Eric Goodman and Justin Morris have the call on the second half. We'll see you at the end of the game.
Here at Wright Whitaker Sports Complex, Eric Goodman, Justin Morris here with you as the second half gets underway. A very brief halftime, not very much time to say for the coaches to their teams here.
No, and one thing I'd like to note out is that the Aggies got onto the field just a little bit before the 2-minute mark in the halftime, just to practice just a little bit. But the Longhorns stayed off the entire time. Coach Pruitt was talking to them, probably giving them some inspirational words of advice, hyping them up for this second half of the game.
If you're Texas, if you're Coach Pruitt, do you change anything?
One thing you got to do is you're going to have to play a little bit quicker. They're taking a little bit too long on the defensive side, and they need to get the ball out of there as quick as possible.
And the referee getting the players set up to begin the half, and we'll take you to it as Texas and Texas A&M continue the Lone Star Showdown. Second half 1-0 to Texas A&M as we get going.
And they're off.
The Aggies will kick it off now. And we'll see if any of the changes either team makes will have a significant difference as the rest of the game goes through. Derek Burris, straight into Nagaich, bad pass there. Nagaich, difficult control. This ball is slipping and sliding all over this turf. Johan Lee now to Nagaich. Played long down to Malone. Picone, excuse me.
Now, one thing I will highlight, like I said earlier, is that now the Longhorns are going with the wind as opposed to earlier or the first half where they were going against the wind. So it might be a little bit easier for them to get the ball downfield, especially for Sam Duncan, the goalie.
Nagaich now. Played just out the touch line. Parker Miller in his own half. We'll find Laval. Out to Derek Burris. To David Lee, the goal scorer. Placed a beautiful finish right by Sam Duncan off an incredible feed. Put it right to his feet. And now Texas trying to get to the box here. A lot of contact. It's going to be contact too much going Texas's way. It'll be a free kick to the Aggies.
Yeah, like we saw earlier, both teams were very rough in how they were playing.
It has been a really physical game. Keep deep in for Texas. Over to Gaich. Played through. Freethy's tracking it down.
Darting across the field, but the ball is going to go to A&M.
That is Walker Hood, number 17 for Texas, playing the attacking right wing position. And now digging in good midfield defending from Texas, but unable to win the ball back. Until right now, Tanaka. Texas trailing.
Tried to make a pass, but it got stopped by an Aggie defender, or actually an Aggie center.
This goes to Jacob McDonald down the left wing. Not a lot of help for him in the box, only one man there. And played out to Tanaka now. And Texas going the other way. Another more end-to-end stuff. Cameron Hansen. And out to Tanaka.
One thing I am hearing a little bit less of is that Texas communication. They're not talking as much as they were at the beginning of the game. Seems like they kind of lost that mojo.
Taylor Brown.
But they are definitely playing a lot quicker than they were in the first half, as you can see out the offense.
Looking for Walker Hood. It's a shot taken on and a save needed by Barbero there.
And he is not happy.
Julian Basie there getting a boot on it. And sometimes that is what you have to do is eventually take shots, make the keeper work in hopes that you might get a rebound eventually and stick one home.
Well, originally I thought that Barbero was just kind of kicking it pretty hard with the wind, but he actually just has a really strong leg. He kicked that ball past midfield.
And this will go Texas's way out on the touchline. It will be a throw in for them. And sent in long. Looking for Thomas, looking for Cameron Hansen there. Walker Hood trying to win it back, unable to do so. Lee for Texas A&M. Played out on the left side.
He's got the ball back, starting to make a run across the field.
It's David Lee with space and options, and he'll use one of those. It's Jacob McDonald. Working a cross in. Settled down and then finally cleared by Cameron Hansen for Texas. All the way out to...
Ooh.
That's Dwarka there. Taking the contact. Shows it's a physical game when it's a fair one, too. That challenge.
Texas is definitely coming out pretty fast, pretty quickly,
the ball gets
and you can hear that with
through
the Aggie defense.
Through David Lee there. But it was offsides for Texas A&M, and that'll stop the attack in its tracks.
It's going to slow down the game just for a little bit. Give both teams a second or two to catch their breath.
Give us a second or two to catch our breath.
Yeah.
Lots of end-to-end stuff here. Nagaich.
The first 5 minutes of this half are looking quite different than the first 5 minutes of the previous half. A lot more Texas footwork, a lot more ball control by the Longhorns. And it's kind of slipping up. As you can hear from the Aggie defense, they're not too happy that they're having to do a lot more work.
And that center back position that was occupied by Grant Michaels, the big man in the center for Texas, is now, he's been come out and been replaced by Taylor Brown, number 3 for Texas. Michaels with a couple of questionable clearances there.
Passed
No.
up.
Wonder if it's injury or just a tactical choice by Coach Matt Pruitt.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about too. Grant Michaels is the player, one of the players that went down earlier. And I'm not sure if Coach Pruitt is letting him take a second to breathe or if he actually is injured.
There'll be a throw in here for Texas. Reese Nagaich. Nagaich with a probing ball, but we'll find Barbero.
You know, one thing we kind of talked about earlier is the fact that we're playing on artificial turf, and as you can see from Barbero, he's jumping really high to try and catch the ball, and it is helping it. He's using this turf to his advantage.
Played out to Johan Lee, who's played every minute of this game so far.
And has done a great job for the Longhorns. Ooh.
A lot of contact there, and a little bit of afterwards too. A little bit of previous, a little bit of after as well.
Looks like some words were exchanged, mainly by the Aggie player. Number 4, Derek Burris.
I'm curious to hear what you think as this rivalry is, in football at least, gone kind of the way of the history books as these teams don't play anymore in football. Do you think that hurts this rivalry as these teams don't play anymore? Do you think there's actually more of a emphasis on this rivalry now when we do see it come to action in club soccer like this?
Well, the big thing is that the two teams don't play anymore in football. The University of Texas actually just sent out referendum to go to the students asking about whether they would like to bring that rivalry football game back. And the students very approvingly voted yes. What I read in the Daily Texan was it was a 96% vote yes to bring the game back. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to come back, we find different routes: basketball, baseball, and a perfect example right here is the soccer games.
I'm curious, as someone who's just recently in your position has just joined the UT ranks, do you feel as Texas A&M is the biggest rival that Texas has?
That's a tough one to answer. I don't think anymore. I think OU is still our rival football-wise, but in a conference like this, when we're talking about soccer, the University of Texas only plays Texas teams, so A&M is definitely a very big rival, if not the #1 rival for men's soccer.
I would have to agree with that as Ian Burns sends it out wide. Back to Burns. Speed down the right side, and that's going to come back for a foul on Texas. Will be a free kick to the Aggies.
Let's see what they do to set up that ball. They're kind of slowly getting back there, getting ready. Like I kind of said earlier, the beginning of this half is a lot different than it was the beginning of the previous half. UT is coming out strong and really fast.
Kyle Malone warming up on the sidelines there. Very, as we've said, big impact player for Texas, currently not contributing on the pitch right now. And in his case, you have to speculate it's just to get the energy back.
Yeah, sort of recharge himself. Not too sure why they're taking a little bit longer than usual.
Well, Texas A&M's coach has words for
Yep, looks like what he's
for
doing.
the referee. Bit of an explanation going on here.
I think he's questioning whether or not it should be a free kick or not, or if it should be something else.
And the referee has shown the yellow card to Texas A&M's head coach, Joey Lockhart, now getting cautioned. That in itself probably not going to have much of an impact on the game played on the field, but certainly interesting to see the referee go to his pocket for the first time for someone that's not even playing on the field.
Yeah, and that can definitely get into the mindset of both teams. High
Sent
kick.
him very high and deep, and Duncan will secure it.
And just like Barbero, Duncan is taking advantage of this being artificial turf. He's jumping up really high to stop that ball. Large kick. Oh, my goodness.
That could find its way all the way to Wood, and it does. Wood in the corner working against Derek Burris, who does well to earn a throw-in for Texas A&M.
I'm not sure if people switch sides or not, but it seems to be that there's a bit of a small pool of orange, burnt orange right in front of us. It's nice to see the UT fans coming out here to support their soccer team.
Right in front of where Texas A&M, the A&M contingency was at the beginning. Perhaps that's something to do with the switching of the sides that happened at the half, as this goes back to Johan Lee. Excuse me, that is Taylor Brown. And now Lee sends it in looking for Pecan. Defended well by Laval. Whitfield looking deep, trying to find several options out front for Texas A&M. And it'll come back for Texas now. Pecan fighting. Johan Lee will come up into the attacking half to try to keep this attack going, and now Basie, excuse me. But it only goes out as far as an A&M throw-in.
And that ball went pretty far off the field.
And we'll have a break now as we retrieve a game ball. And we're going to have a couple of substitutes for Texas A&M.
And it looks like a substitute maybe for Texas too. I'm not too sure.
Jacob McDonald going out for A&M, and yes, indeed. And that looks like it could be Grant Michaels coming back onto the playing surface.
Interesting tactic by Coach Pruitt.
It's certainly Cameron Hansen departing. And that will that will be Franz Belz, the upperclassman featured heavily in this game last year. Hasn't had a ton to do in this game. He brings experience and attacking creative play down that right wing, and we'll see what he can bring to this game tonight.
And there he is.
Yep, already making an impact as it's at the feet of Dwarka and taken back by the Aggies, now well defended.
Franz slips up just a little bit, gets back up on his feet.
Franz a victim of two things to become more of a super sub for Texas. Yes, Texas does have youth that is put pressure on the upperclassmen to perform and is in some cases taken their spots, but Bell's also the victim of an injury in the beginning of the season, which has taken him a bit of time to get back to. But a good tackle in there by Malone, the attacking play. And now Bells will find Dwarka now. And Bells with a chance to beat a Texas A&M defender.
You know, like you were just saying, Eric, is they've got not as much seniority as they did in past years. And this is a very young Texas team, both on the A team and the B team. And that should have a pretty bright future ahead for the Longhorns. These freshmen and sophomores are hungry to go deep into the regional and national tournament. And they're looking to bring the title to the 40 acres.
Dwarka to take the corner kick. And deep in, Johan Lee got a bit of a flick on there, not enough to direct it into the bottom post, into the bottom corner inside that post. But if Texas is going to score, Justin, do you think it might have to come off of one of these set pieces?
Like a corner kick? Or?
Indeed, a corner kick, free kick.
I think a corner kick is probably going to be the best opportunity for Texas to get the ball over into the goal, unless the opportunity arises like we saw the goal for A&M, where the ball was wide open and they had a beautiful, perfect shot into the goal. Unless that opportunity arises, your best shot is utilizing the corner kicks.
Laval clearing, moving the play forward for Texas A&M. Over to Cooper Whitfield. And it's a foot race. Johan Lee will recover. He has been very steady back there. Been very active, had to be.
Yes, he has, and this is one of his first starts as a Texas soccer player, and he is definitely helping out the defense in this game.
Whitfield to take the throw in for A&M. And there's Lee again. Did enough to earn Texas a free kick there.
Looks like Tanaka making that kick.
Nagaich, not enough on that ball to make it all the way out to Basie. Connor Hurt now, the Aggies captain. Matt Wolf to Lee.
Ooh.
Big collision, fair collision in there. Once again, Nagaich and Jake Sorkin working hard in the midfield. Sorkin is checked in for one of his first stints of this game, and Belt's dispossessed there.
Ooh.
Lots of contact there, and once again the referee keeps his whistle on his wrist.
And the Aggies tried to kick the ball out of there, but Texas stopped the ball quickly and left it in Aggie territory.
Nagaich find Basie. Basie unable to find one of his teammates, and that's Walker Hood bouncing it off.
Ooh.
And some shirt tugging now from Nagaich, and that's going to be an instant yellow card. That's the easiest call for a referee to make.
Yep. Nagaich trying to hold on to the Aggie player, trying to slow him down.
You think that could have been a good foul for Nagaich? He obviously knew what he was doing there.
Yes.
A lot of steam being shown from Texas A&M.
And the Aggie players wanted a little bit more than that. And the referee and the Aggie player now conversing.
Referee explaining himself there, explaining his decision. We've seen more contact than that throughout this game and less penalty dished out for it, but that one was just a matter of the player who, did it. That was an intentional foul there from Nagaich as it sent into the arms of Sam Duncan.
Yeah, he's just trying to slow down the player, and that's a route you take to just try and do it, but definitely not successful.
Basie finding Hood. Intercepted there. And Nagaich recovering for Basie. Out to Dwarka. And Matt Pecan.
Ooh.
Walker Hood now with the ball, trying to keep it in, and that'll win a corner for Texas. And once again, like Justin, you mentioned, this could be one of Texas' best opportunities to level up the score here. Basie will claim the ball and take for it. Texas missing a bit of his height now with Grant Michaels out of the game, and they have nearly everybody sent forwards. 2 men outside the 18-yard box for Texas. Send in from Basie low.
Ooh.
Falls to Pecan, and that's way too high. Taken on the half volley, a difficult stride for any player.
And more than half of the field was in this small pocket in front of the goal and went over all of their heads.
Creeping towards the 25-minute remaining mark in the half in this match. Currently, the visitors, the Texas A&M Aggies, clinging to a 1-goal lead. Sent up by Barbero low. Not a very good goal kick there, excuse me, but it does find Hurt. Played back to Duncan.
That was a risky playback to Duncan. Headed the ball to him, but it did pay out as the ball gets to about midfield, a little bit past it.
And Walker Hood again looking like the dangerous runner for Texas. This will go up for Breesy and Hurt. Hurt will win it off his shoulder.
Yeah, he looked like he was trying to get his chest on the ball, but he ended up hitting his shoulder. That ball goes soaring in the air.
Straight up. It will stay in play, and now be thrown for Texas A&M. Sherman will take it.
A&M throws it in really quick. They're kind of hot on the Longhorn side of the field, and they're trying to get that ball in the goal.
Let's clean up nicely now to Dwarka. France Bell's lurking quietly on that left side. Hasn't had a ton to do since coming on. And Barbero sends it deep.
And that ball goes out.
And we'll have more substitution. No substitution limit like you see in some other levels of soccer, although in Division I, also unlimited subs. They just have to be made at a stoppage. And David Lee, the goal scorer for Texas A&M, will take a breather.
The lone goal of the game. Plenty of attempts, though, on both sides of the field. that Texas A&M is up 1-0 with 23.5 minutes left in the game.
Flicked on, and Hurt has it in the midfield for Texas A&M. Sends a beautiful through ball, and Duncan will have to come out. Ooh. Can't get it, and it falls to Ian Burns for Texas A&M, and it's 2-0, breaking Texas Longhorn hearts there. And now it is a very, very tall task for the Longhorns to come back and reclaim another victory in this rivalry.
That was just a beautiful goal. Bit of a slip up by UT goalie. The ball was perfectly in Ian Burns' hands, and he makes the goal. Clear as day.
Duncan will absolutely want to have that one back. But Connor Hurt, what a pass from him to set that goal up. And Ian Burns had really the easiest role in that goal. Sending it home, and now Texas, the urgency has to be through the roof here now.
Yeah, and as you kind of saw right there, they're trying to get the ball out, and they're a little aggravated now.
Frustration setting in for the Longhorns.
And you can't really let that happen to you in soccer or basically in any sport. You can't let the frustration get to the best of you, because it's just going to only make things worse.
Casey Sherman now. Texas looking for 3. Now Bells. Bells finding Hood. Ooh. And it gets through, not cleared yet. Picone now. And cleared away for Texas A&M.
And that was a perfect opportunity for Texas to score right there. With Barbero down, they had a great opportunity, but just couldn't take it.
Barbero making a great save there, but sending the ball right back into play, and Picone could not take advantage. That'll come back down to Duncan.
He rolls it out.
And now, Justin, if you're Coach Matt Pruitt for Texas, how much do you risk conceding a 3rd goal to try to push men forward and claim your first for Texas?
You really can't. You need to. The Longhorns need to score, and they need to score as soon as possible. We're inching near the 20-minute mark. It's about 21 minutes left in the half, but they need to score, and they need to score fast. But one thing I will admit with rivalry games is that it always comes down to the last minutes, and even with the score at 2-0, you never know what can happen within the last few minutes. Earlier in the year, UT played Baylor, ended in a tie, 1-1, I believe. And Texas had the lead the entire time of the game, but Baylor scored a last few minutes goal within the last 5 minutes to tie the game.
And physical in the midfield now. The Sherman's there. Finding Taylor Brown. And Sherman couldn't control it, but it only comes out as far as Parker Miller. We'll find Taylor Brown now. Cross low, and Duncan will sweep it up.
Nice save by Duncan. He's going to roll it out.
Tanaka from the left back position. Jack Sorkin playing back and forth with Johan Lee. Basie now.
There's that communication between the defenders.
Basie Hood finds Hood. And Hood tracking Picone, and that definitely came off a hand, but no call from the referee. That came off an elbow. And it'll be a throw into Texas. But not before a huge substitution change. My goodness.
Is that 4 players? I believe so. 4 players going out of the game, being switched out.
A whole new platoon in for Texas. That might be frustration on the coach's end of his players, just trying to change things up, get a whole new fresh batch of players in. And Basie, who hasn't left this game very much, if at all, takes the throw in and will likely take this next one as well.
Now, one big thing I will note is that for the entire duration of this game, Johan Lee has remained within the game.
It's true, there has been some other flip-flop in the Texas defensive back four, but not Lee.
Which I think is a good call by Coach Pruitt. Johan Lee is clearly taking leadership on this defense, and he's done a pretty great job so far in this game.
Thrown in long for Texas and defended well by the Aggies as the ball trickles down to Sherman. Settled by Lee for Texas and given away to Hurt. And Hurt has help. Hurt challenging the Texas defenders will hold. And no reason for the A&M Aggies to play fast with the 2-0 lead. They can afford to hold on to possession. And it will be thrown in by Derek Burris. And a foul there by Jake Malone, who has been kept very, very quiet. We barely called his name today.
Which is pretty interesting, granted that he is the D1 transfer from the University of the Incarnate Word out of San Antonio, Texas. He's the current leading scorer for the Longhorns with 3 goals so far this season. And it's a bit interesting to not hear us say his name too much in this game. A couple passes here and there, but that's about it.
And now Malone will look to run, but unable to get it past the Aggie right back, Cooper Whitfield. And just as we know the repertoire of Jake Malone, so does the Texas A&M Aggies, and I'm sure you anticipate, Justin, that they spent a lot of their preparation for this game specifically focused on him.
Well, if they did a pretty good job at it because we have not mentioned his name that much. They have kept the ball out of his feet.
Basie now with space. Looking to be his man, unable to do so, and it will be cleared for a Texas throw-in. And Basie will take it. Hurt with possession. Looking for Burns and Casey Sherman, but he'll find his way to Duncan, who has to just head it out, and Burns could have taken tried to have a chip long shot attempt. Instead, plays kind of a half pass, half weak shot there, and it just trickles nicely to Sam Duncan.
Yeah, what kind of caused that was a slip up in midfield where Johan Lee fell to the ground. They only had 2 defenders back there to try and stop the ball, and luckily they did.
Basie now finds James Freethy. And Malone just quite off the end of that.
It looked like a near tap-in.
And Texas Student Media Director Frank Serpas there to feed the ball back in to the playing field. Basie in, and it falls to Freethy now. Freethy, can he get a shot off? What a save by Barbero there.
The Aggies kick it out.
And it's coming back now out to Hurt. A&M playing on the counterattack. Colin Tracy, and he will not be able to catch up to it as it falls to Duncan, who will likely play it quickly. And he will to Basie.
Nice kick by Basie.
Sent deep looking for Malone, and it won't find him. It'll find Barbero in a collision there. Looking out to the ref, who, except for that one yellow card to Joey Lockhart on the Texas A&M bench, has kept those cards in his pocket.
Absolutely, and besides the rough contact between Nagaich and the Connor Hearns, I believe, there's been no cards issued at all, which is pretty interesting, granted that there's been a lot of pushing and shoving throughout this game.
It's been kept mostly civil as far as outside of play, should be said, for these two very passionate teams that put in the kind of work and effort that you see for Division I soccer. And we are into the final 15 minutes here at Whitaker Sports Complex. Basie now. We'll find it back from Malone. Looking for Freethy. Sherman now. And Honecker back to Sherman.
That wind's starting to pick up, and let's see if the Longhorns can use it to their advantage.
Colin Tracy from the back to Hurt. Chipping it over the Texas defense, but only as far as Sam Duncan. Texas looking to run.
The past few times that Duncan has had the ball in his hand, he's decided to roll it out, which is a bit of an interesting play. He's trying to get it to the defenders so they can kick it out there instead of kicking it himself.
Walker Hood unable to maintain possession. We will get more substitutions from Texas A&M, as at this point they will certainly have their eyes on the clock, and these substitutions only will help trickle that down to 0.
With less than 13 minutes left in the game, scores 2-0, Aggies.
And we'll get started with an Aggie throw-in that finds its way harmlessly to the Texas back line. Now out to Jake Malone, who's found his way into that center mid position. Often plays number 9 for Texas, but now he wants the ball at his feet as much as possible. To put a pass like that over to Walker Hood, and well defended from Texas A&M. Love all there.
Walker Hood falls pretty bad. Looks like he might have hit his head.
He is slow to get up.
But he does get up.
Hurt unmarked on the A&M left side, but can't secure the long ball. And now Coach Matt Pruitt will make a substitution for Texas and will try to make this last as quickly as possible. That's going to get Walker Hood out of the game. He clearly suffered some injury on that slide tackle there from Lovell.
It looks like he might have hurt his head or perhaps his neck. And the Aggies make some substitutions as well.
Hurt will go out. It's been very dangerous.
They're probably going to leave him out for the rest of the game, by my guess. Granted that the Aggies are up by 2. Connor Hurt has definitely done his job and his part in this game so far, setting up the second goal for the Aggies.
Absolutely. And the first goal taken by David Lee, who has returned to the game. Lovell now. Matt Pecan has re-entered for Texas in place of Walker Hood. Juan Montez there wins the ball back for Texas. Sharif now. To Miller, tried a very cute flick on there, but it didn't come off. And it'll go the other way to Jacob McDonald on the left wing for the Aggies. Fed in the middle harmlessly. That'll be handled by Sharif. Sharif finding Malone now. And Bells is out with space, and that's could get through, but only as far as Borja Barbero.
He grabs that ball and immediately falls to the ground to secure it. Ooh.
Some contact there, and that'll go the way of Texas. Interesting call there for the referee. And play out immediately for Basie.
And the Aggies were still kind of in shock by the call, but the Longhorns were able to kick the ball around. Less than 10 minutes left in the final half of the game.
Josh Fuller unable to track down the pass there. Wind again picking up on a very, very uncharacteristically cold September evening here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it's not too cold temperature-wise, but with this breeze, it feels like a good 60. Usually whenever I'm wearing a jacket and jeans, I begin to sweat, but it's been a relatively cool night.
Picone lost the handle there. It'll be a Texas throw-in.
Good stop by the Texas assistant coach.
Looks to be taking long here as A&M is keeping 9 men and sometimes 10 men behind the ball now to set up their defense. And that one's down. Probing will find Sam Duncan.
And again, Duncan chooses not to kick the ball, but just to simply throw it out of there.
And creeping down towards the 8-minute mark. Time running out for the Longhorns to even get 1 goal back and set up what we hope to be an exciting finish.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you know, for any rivalry game, it always comes down to the last few minutes.
And that's just not good enough there for Texas. It's unable to find Basie on the pass. Sharif, still just a sophomore, but he's capable of better than that.
And substitution by the Aggies, getting David Lee out of the game. And he more than likely is also going to stay out for the remainder of this game.
Derek Burris, and then settled by Lee for Texas. Tackle in by Malone, but unable to win the ball back. Sharif nearly does. Nearly does again, but again it finds the feet of the Texas A&M Aggies. Jacob McDonald now to Derek Burris. Burris to Joey Jarrell. And that looks to be a set piece for Texas A&M.
Very slow to get the ball back.
No rush for the Aggies, absolutely not. Up 2-0.
They are trying to run the clock down. And a ball is on the field. That is not the soccer ball being played in this game.
And sent way out there by Lovall. Might trickle out into the tennis courts behind these soccer fields.
Not sure who kicked that ball onto the field, but they have quite the distance to go retrieve it.
Crossed in the corner kick for Texas A&M.
Bounced out.
And that was Colin Tracy, who nearly got another great opportunity on goal against Sam Duncan.
Ooh.
Beautiful dummy there to keep the ball away from Malone. Matt Bacone, who's played nearly all of this game, still going full speed. You can tell how disappointed Texas would be with a result like this.
And one thing that's really important about that, staying in for most of the game, is endurance. And you got to have endurance in a sport like soccer. You're running across the field the whole time, no matter what position you are playing.
Again, Colin Tracy avoiding the slide tackle by Sharif. Still Tracy, and he wins the free kick for A&M, and they'll be in no rush to take this as we creep towards the 5-minute mark in the half.
And there is officially 5 minutes left in the half.
Matt Wolf will send it in. Probing had to be dealt with by Duncan. And Malone just can't find a way to get that ball to his feet.
Ooh.
Juan Montes, they're working hard, winning the possession back for Texas.
Full
and giving it
physical
right back to
contact.
Texas A&M. Basie now. Too many Aggies there for Texas.
Ooh, man. And that slows down a good 15 seconds of a bunch of physical contact between both teams.
And the Aggie fans love that determination from their club soccer team there to keep Texas from even crossing the midfield point there.
With an Aggie win in this game, they are looking to go for the conference championship and looking to go to the national tournament.
Cleared out into the hands of Daniela Brambilla, the backup goalkeeper for Texas. And Sharif looking the way of Basie. Set down, but not close enough to keep possession. One back, though, from Freethy, and Basie now looking for a foul. He won't get one. Neither team has gotten many of those tonight as we've gone on. And dealt well by Johan Lee there to shield the ball away.
And you know, a minute ago you mentioned backup goalkeeper Daniel Brambilla, and it's important to note that while Johan Lee has mainly been in this game the whole time, we also have to point out that Sam Duncan has been the goalie for the entire duration for the Longhorns.
And you would have to put a portion of that second goal on him, getting a piece of it, but not enough to clear the ball away. But all in all, he has had steady hands in Texas.
He has let two let go by him, but besides that, he has done a phenomenal job at keeping the ball out of the net.
Barbero to take the goal kick.
As we inch toward the 2-minute mark.
Tackled well for Texas. And a desperation through ball that never really had a destination. Barbero will hold. And boot it down towards the Texas 18-yard box. Falling now for Hurt.
And he did come back into the game. Interesting call by Coach Lockhart.
It'll find its way to Duncan, and we are now effectively in stoppage time. The referee in total control of the clock as it's frozen at 2 minutes as this game comes to an end.
And Jake Malone does a flip on the field. They try to stop that ball. Rolls over backwards.
Yeah, flexing his athletic ability there because Texas A&M has not let him do much of that with the ball at his feet, at least tonight. Over to Derek Burris. No pressure from Texas. Here it comes now from Freethy. To Burris again. Oh, and a nutmeg on Basie, but we won't quite give it to him because Texas will regain possession. And Duncan will mop up the through ball. To Sharif now.
Let's see if Texas can at least score a goal.
Not with a pass like that from Sharif. Right to Tristan Honecker for A&M. Now to Hurt. Connor Hurt. Showing some very nice dribbling skills. Again, still Hurt.
And really at this point, that's all you can really do is just kind of dribble it around. You're just kind of running the play clock out at this point.
And offsides will give possession back to Texas for one of the final times. Juan Montes now sending a long ball deep. Handled by Burris, but only as far as Basie for the throw-in.
Turns it around really quick to throw that ball in.
Sharif. Basie once again keeps it in. No, he does not. It'll be a Texas A&M throw-in. And we'll watch the referee now as he looks at his watch.
And one referee's telling the other referee to check the time.
More added time coming from the referee. Basie to take it quickly for Texas. Over the head of Freethy. Not quite good enough there for Texas to regain possession.
Ooh.
Out towards Malone, but not to him. And it's going to find Hurt. Good slide tackle there for Texas. Sharif playing it back to Montes. Over to Basie. And that is unable, Basie's unable to keep that one inside the field of play.
Now the Aggies kind of fiddle with the ball a little bit, make a run, but there is absolutely no pressure.
And that gets
on them.
through. Basie will handle.
Both teams are
a
playing
free
pretty rough in the stoppage time.
Pecan will win another throw in for Texas.
Man, is it just me or just in the stoppage time the ball has gone out much more times than it has during the game?
Montes maintaining possession and unable to stay on his feet. That'll concede possession to Texas A&M. And Hurt is free. Could it be 3-0 to Texas A&M to end the game? Fed inside, and it will be Texas A&M. Duncan got down and did just enough for now. And that will do it for the Aggie attack and for this game. The Texas A&M Aggies improved to 4-1 on the season, and this will feel as good as any of those other three. And for Texas, their second loss on the year, and this will hurt all the way to the game next season that we hope to bring to you as we come back now to our little broadcast stand here at Wright Whitaker Sports Complex. And the players moving away from the field now. This has to be a bit heartbreaking for Texas.
Yeah, I totally have to agree with the 2-0 score. You know, the Longhorns are really looking to go make a win out of here and then possibly go further within conference play. I know they got, I think, 2 or 3 more games left in conference play and possibly make a run to the national tournament. But with a heartbreaking loss like this, there's little to do.
Texas A&M was the better team, though, throughout the game, weren't they?
I would agree to that. The Aggies were making quick plays. They were running the ball really well. And they just had this sort of dominance coming into the game, and they knew what they needed to do, and they definitely did it with a win.
Now, neither season, obviously Texas A&M season, far from over. They're looking ahead now to nationals. Where does Texas have to look to get their season back to where they still have aspirations to go?
Well, they just need to make some goals, win some games. That's all they can really do at this point. Now they're, I believe, 3-2-1. There's not much left for them to do. They've got to win as many games as they can left and try and make a spot in possibly the regional tournament.
Now, who could you say made the biggest impact for Texas A&M to bring home the win here?
For Texas A&M, I would definitely say Connor Hurt. There's no doubt about that, and I think he was definitely the best player in the game for the Aggies. And for the Longhorns, it's kind of tough to say. It would either, for me, it would either be Nagaich or Lee, and I think with his endurance, Lee is definitely the player of the game to me.
And absolutely, Connor Hurt.
Hi, Seth.
Connor Hurt definitely playing a starring role in that game. And Katarina Biancardi now has 2 of the Texas star players, goalkeeper Barbero. Let's take it out to Katarina.
A&M head coach Jill Lockhart and goalkeeper Borja Barbero. Guys, congratulations on your win tonight in the Lone Star Showdown. Now, this story of the game was supposed to be redemption for Texas after last year's disappointing 7-2 loss against you guys. But you put 2 in the back of the net. Tell me what worked tonight.
Yeah, so we came in and our whole strategy all season is just control the midfield. If we control the midfield, we know they can't. So they came in with 3 in the midfield, and we were able to control their 3 with our 2 in the midfield with Parker Miller, Lee, and Ian today. Fortunately, 2 of those midfielders score, and that's what put them away.
And Borja, you had a huge role in tonight's game. You had a lot of shots on you. They were pressing really high. What clicked really well for you guys in the defense?
We are all really good friends, and because we are good friends, we defend well.
Worked well together. Now, you guys have remained a powerhouse in this conference year in and year out. Tell me what really works for you guys.
Well, I can tell you it's not the coaching. We've had a different coach for every year for 6 years, but honestly, the camaraderie and the effort that we're willing to put in 3-4 nights a week is what makes us better than every other team in Texas.
Every other team in Texas, that's a bold statement. What do you think about that, Borja?
Yes, I have been here 2 years. And I think Texas A&M is by far the best team that I have seen around this region. So I think, yeah, this is going to be easy job.
Easy job to get that hopefully a win in conference and then be able to take that to a nationals bid. But before you do that, you have Texas. You guys face Baylor next week down the road in Waco. Tell me about how important it is to take that game one day at a time.
Yeah, I mean, we play our game and take on whoever's going to step on the field with us. We believe in what we do, and what we do has been successful so far, and we think it'll be successful through nationals.
So what is going to be the focus at practice upcoming next week, Borjo?
Well, you'll have to ask the coach for that, but I think we should definitely. We were choppy at some points today in the defense, so I think that can be improved next week.
Okay, congratulations, guys, on that win in the Lone Star Showdown. Back to you guys.
Well, you could hear the confidence there from Borja Barbero there. Texas A&M, it's hard to argue that they might be the best team in the state of Texas. Certainly proved it tonight.
Absolutely, they did. And with a win, 2-0, it's hard to compete against that. So, like Kat said, they'll be playing Baylor next week. And I believe Texas already played Baylor. Yeah, they did. They tied them. So it'll be interesting to see what Texas A&M does against Baylor in the upcoming week.
That'll do it for us here on the sideline. For Justin Morris, I'm Eric Goodman saying goodnight. We will have Jonathan Polasic next to wrap up this game once again and provide a little bit more perspective. Until then, good night.
Good night.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Texas A&M. Texas A&M won this game 2-0. I'm here with Parker Miller right here, a member of the Aggie soccer team. So, Parker, that was a great Texas A&M win. How'd you feel about that game?
It was all right. I knew UT was going to come out and give it a hard-fought game. After last year, we got the better of them. So, knew they were going to come out hard. We had to stay focused, put in our game plan, and kind of adapt to them. They came out hard.
No, definitely, because especially after last year, it was a 7-2 Texas A&M win. You knew Texas was probably going to be out for revenge. How did you expect Texas to attack this Longhorn defense?
So we knew they would come out extremely hard. We've lost some players. We're adapting to a new system. I'm sure they've made some changes too. So we knew they'd come out hard. We had to be organized. We had to work hard, win those 50-50 balls, and that was our focus. It's never going to be a pretty game in this rivalry, but we had to go out and fight hard.
A pretty game it was not, that is for certain. So another thing is you jumped out to an early 1-0 lead. How did jumping out to that early lead help you take control of this game to the end?
Well, I thought it helped us settle down. I thought y'all had the better chances at the start of the game. Could have been down 2-0. We got a little fortunate. But we came back. We fought hard. We got that goal, and then let us settle down, play our game, adapt to the game, slow it down, and then try and find our chances through there.
Yeah, Texas A&M definitely seemed to take control of the ball, have more pace, have more possession of the ball, and it paid off in the second half. You scored that second goal, essentially put the game out of reach. So I mean, it was a good thing that you had that first goal early on in the first half to settle yourself down. But this is a big win. So what does this win mean for your program going forward into conference play?
So it gives us a little confidence. We started conference out not too well. We lost to UTSA 2-1. That was kind of a shock to us, so we had to settle down, get ourselves under control, work hard in practice, and this win's big for us. Get our confidence up going through the rest of the year.
Definitely, definitely. Well, that's all we have here for Katarina Biancardi, the sideline reporter for Parker Miller of Texas A&M. I'm Jonathan Polosic. Texas A&M won this game 2-0. Good night.